Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our work from home wealth plan challenge. I am so happy to see all of you here this evening. I do always encourage my students who are in our Amplify Academy to put themselves on video when we do calls, really just because if you do want to work on the online space, it's a great way to start getting some practice. It's a good way to, just get used to showing your face and being present. And I also find too, like for me, it challenges me to be present and to be attentive because I know that I'm on camera. So, would love to see your beautiful faces if you are in a position to do that safely. Of course, if you're putting a kid to bed or you're driving, safety first. Um, Kids go to sleep first, but I'm happy to see y'all here and excited to get to know you today and tomorrow. So, just in case this is the first time we're chatting, which I think many of you I've been chatting with in the DMs this week, my name is Holly. I am a former teacher turned stay-at-home mom, turned high ticket closer and remote appointment setter. In my first year of working in remote sales, I tripled my teaching salary, and I knew that this was something I really needed to share with other women who wanted more time freedom, who wanted to build financial freedom, and wanted to do it without taking on some other side hustle or like starting a business. They wanted that feeling of being self-employed without the pressure of really employing themselves and running the business top to bottom. So I created the Amplify Academy sales training program. And our mission really is to teach women how to sell and then place them in remote roles so that they can achieve their financial and time freedom goals. Because at the end of the day, you are your best chance. And so this week, today and tomorrow, we're going to be talking about these skills that you need to break into the remote sales space, how to find the businesses that are hiring for these roles, and how to grow that skill set so that you can, one, become really marketable, and two, make the money and have the flexibility that you desire. So that's what we'll be breaking down today and tomorrow. Before we dive in, I want to just go over a couple of housekeeping notes. I know when I take my kids on a trip or even if we go to a new place, it always helps them just like know what's coming ahead. They feel more relaxed, more at ease, knowing that, we've got a plan laid out in front of us. So that's what we're going to do. Now, this week, I just wanted you to be prepared that your brain is going to really get rearranged. You're going to start to see things this week in a way you've never seen them before. You might even find yourself losing some sleep because your mind's going to be growing and you're going to notice things with fresh eyes. If anybody else here is a mom, I always think about when my kids have gone through growth spurts at night. They'll be like up talking in their beds. They'll be making noise. They'll be doing somersaults, like trying new words. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like 4 in the morning. Why are you awake? And it's always because their brain is just growing and expanding, and our brains and our bodies do that when we feel at ease and when we're resting. And so you may find this week that you're going to lose some sleep because you're learning new things, your brain is growing, you're stretching in new ways, and you're seeing the world in a completely different way than you've ever seen it before. And that's the goal. That's how transformation takes place, and that's how we really change the reality that is present to us right now. So I just want you to be super prepared because I know too, I have been to a lot of like summits, webinars, challenges, virtual events, retreats where I come in thinking that I'm going to be taught something. And then it's really just people who are attempting to make me feel like I'm learning something when really they're just selling me the whole time. And like I end up just leaving feeling like I didn't get much out of that. So I want to say, like, this is not that. This is going to be transformational. You are going to learn a lot. You're going to have a lot of things that you can apply when these 2 days are over. And at the same time, at the end of the 2 days, I am going to sell you an offer. Now, why? Being in sales, one of the things that I've learned that makes you be able to sell in integrity, but also just be a person of integrity, which is something that I value really highly, is to have congruency between like who you are, what you say, and the things you do, and that this is really what like allows you to step into your best and highest self. And so I would be remiss, I would be out of alignment with who I am this week if I took these 2 days to teach you about selling as a pathway to time and financial freedom, and then to not sell you something at the end. This is what I do. It's who I become. It's very integral to who I am as a person because I believe it so deeply. And I've seen again and again that transaction is the first step into a transformation. So, the cornerstone of how we can sell with integrity is knowing that in order for someone to get a transformation, there has to be some kind of transaction there. So, at the end of the week, it's going to be an easy yes or no. Like, you will know this offer makes sense for me. I'm going to do it. You're going to be smart enough to do that. I know that because you're here. Like you're that kind of person who is a high achiever. You do the research, you follow directions, you do the homework. Like maybe we have a lot of oldest daughters here. I don't know. Maybe we have a lot of like headstrong, independent women here. Like that would be on par for the normal type of woman that I see in these events, the normal type of women that we work with. And they're just like, yep, I made the decision. This is what I'm doing. And if it's not a good fit for you, I also know you're going to be smart enough to say no. And like, that's okay too, right? We still love you. We still want you to hang out. We want you to be fully yes or fully no. So at the end of the week, that will be so clear to you. Now, just as I can't separate selling from who I am, I also really can't separate teaching from who I am because this is so integral to who I became as an adult. And, I'm going to ask you this week, just like any good teacher would, to maybe do things that feel a little uncomfortable. Maybe they'll challenge the way that you view the world. Maybe you'll have to share something that you wouldn't normally share or do something you wouldn't normally do. And why do we do this? Because this is what creates growth. Think about somebody going to the gym, they want to build muscle, they want a different result than what they're getting every day. They're going to have to do something that feels a little hard and uncomfortable until it starts to feel natural. So, this week we're going to be working on that. We're going to be working on that mindset and just trying new things that challenge us and make us stretch and grow a little bit. One of the most important things that I've learned in my journey, I've been working online for 8 years, is that like the most important piece of real estate, if you will, that you're ever going to own is like right here. It's right here between your ears. Because you cannot transfer a belief or guide someone to a transformation if you yourself have not first been there, you have not first played the game, you have not been in the arena and not gone through a transformation. And so this is what we're going to be doing this week. And I'm going to be really paying attention to the people who are going all in, people who are showing up to the calls, the people who are doing their homework, which we're going to share about that at the end. There'll just be little homework each day to help you kind of implement what we're doing. And I'm going to be paying attention to that. Why? Because people who take action in their life and want to make a change and actually like do the thing they say they will are the kind of people that I want to work with. And they're also the kind of people that I know are going to be successful here. The kind of person who signs up for something and then like doesn't show up, like I'll be honest, that person probably won't be successful in a career that really requires you to take agency over your life and take action. The kind of person who says, this is hard and uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it anyways, that's the kind of person who will be very successful. So I pay close attention to those people and I want to reward you for that this week. So at the end of the week, everyone who shows up to the calls, and if you can't make the call, it's at bedtime, you have baseball, you have swim practice, like whatever it is, you're at work, watch the replay and do the homework and just tag me in the homework so that I know you watched it for both days. You're going to get a chance to do a one-on-one call with me. So we'll have an application to jump on a call with me. We'll do a blueprint call together, which I'll explain what that is today. But really, what we're going to do is map out your next steps together. And I'm going to weigh in and tell you, here's what I would do if I was in your shoes. Here's some things that might be helpful. Like, yes, this would be a good fit. No, it would not be. And here's what we can look at together. So we'll go over like what the specifics of that will look like today and tomorrow. But just know like showing up today and tomorrow gives you that option, that opportunity to get some time with me and to have some one-on-one feedback and mentorship in that call. So we will be doing that. Now, when I started working from home, which is like crazy now to say it's like 8 years ago because it was when my firstborn was born. Um, and I was working as a teacher, but I was also working online as a tutor. That was like the very first thing that I did before I started getting into more like entrepreneurial things, like starting businesses and then started selling online. Really, the biggest shift that happened for me and started to actually shift the trajectory of income compared to the time and the energy I was putting in was when I started to treat every opportunity like it was non-negotiable, like it was already working and already making me a ton of money. And it sounds like, okay, well, that seems really simple. But I think a lot of people, when they're trying something new for the first time, they show up very halfway. And what that actually does is it trains your brain to expect like 50% results. And so then you only put in 50% effort. And then you get 50% results. And then you keep putting in 50% effort because you're scared to put in more. You're like, oh, this is all I'm getting. And your brain actually will look for excuses to keep you in that comfortable spot. But when you decide, like, I'm going all in, I'm going 100%, this training, like, this is what I did. I was like, this training is going to make me $1 million. This training is going to make me six figures a year. Now, was I making money at that point? No, I was like in training. I was like in school, so to speak. I was not making money, but I treated it like it was making it money, making me money. And so that when I really began my first role, I was so prepared because I was already taking it very seriously. I was already putting in like 100% of the effort to the training, to getting a mentor, to exploring the space, to learning that it actually happened. I started to make that kind of money. I started to get that time and flexibility back into my life, which is what I wanted. And truly, like, this is how you brainwash yourself for success. It's those little things that you take, those little steps of belief, those little actions that you take. So I just want to encourage you this week. You do not have to commit to working with me for the next 90 days. You do not, absolutely. Like, release that pressure from yourself, okay? You don't have to commit the next 90 days to learning sales, but I would just challenge you, like, you against yourself, to take today and tomorrow seriously, to use this as an opportunity to move the needle in your life in whatever direction that will be, and to show up this week to the training, to get on camera, to participate, to ask questions, to do the homework, right? As if this is already making you six figures, as if this has already released you from your 9 to 5. Like, this is allowing you to travel to Paris randomly and work while you're there and make money while you're there and enjoy and like have this dream experience and then come home and also work from your couch and have your kids around you. Like, whatever that looks like, act like today and tomorrow, just 2 hours, right, is contributing to that. And I know that that will start to move the needle in your life and start to give you more direction and focus and clarity on what your next steps are. So at the end of this challenge, you are going to know the skills that you have that businesses are already looking for. You're going to know exactly how to grow those skills, where to plug them in a business, and then how to find those companies. And this recording is going to be up till Friday. Okay, this is the challenge. It's not a course. So I'm not some guru that's just going to put something in your email inbox and like let it get dusty. I know that the people who are going to take action this week will take action. If you want to do something with this information, amazing. You're going to do it this week. That's how life works. Okay. Fortune favors the bold. He who hesitates is lost. Money loves speed. Like, all these things are just true. So if you're going to do it, you're going to do it this week. And then you'll have till Friday to watch the replays. So for the next 2 days, I just want to encourage you, like, act if what you want to happen is already true. That was the switch for me. This was really how I became what I term an amplifier. And this is the kind of woman who amplifies all areas of her life by going all in on one thing. And what that does is it's the amplifier effect. You start to see success in one thing, and that creates success in other areas. Because inaction breeds reaction, but action sparks traction. Action breeds clarity. Action is how you claim the day. Action is how you decide to take agency over your situation and say, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I'm the one who has to make that choice. No one's making it for me. Okay. Being in sales and now being in coaching, where I meet lots of amazing women, I talk to amazing women every day in my DMs and on calls every day as well. I meet a lot of different kinds of people. And I've worked in several other businesses as well. I've met lots of these kind of people there too. Usually, I can pretty quickly kind of identify if somebody would be successful just based on our conversation, based on their character, based on, some of the things they share about me, about their life. It's never really about personality. It's so much more about like the way they act in their life and what they share, and kind of how they identify themselves. And so what I've seen is a few categories of people, and you may notice this too, like as I share these, either, oh yes, I identify as that, anyone like else love a good personality test, Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, like whatever it is, I'm all about it. I love to know what my personality is. So you may find like, oh, I identify as that, or I know someone who identifies as that, right? So I want you to just take a minute and think about if any of these strike you as, oh yeah, that's me, because I'm also going to share with you like why these certain types of people get stuck when they're trying to transition into a more self-employed or remote, freedom, flexible lifestyle goal. Okay. Because it's going to make a big difference. And the reason I feel confident to say this is because I have personally been all of these people at some point in my remote work journey. Okay. So it's not just coming from a place of, oh, I see this. It's coming from a place of, oh, yeah, I have been this person before. Okay. So the first kind of person that I meet often, and I was this person for a lot of my life, especially when I was teaching, this was very much where I would say I identified, is the follower. All right. This is someone who's like scroll and stall is their MO. It's like someone just sitting on Instagram and reading the comment section, but never commenting, liking, saving posts, putting them in like folders, but they never actually make a move on any of those things. They never actually, make the recipe that they save. They never actually, decorate their house in the way that they save pictures of, right? They never actually message somebody about an opportunity that they see. They're very much just like observing on the outside. Now, what this actually does is this creates a cognitive overload. And this happened to me a lot when I was in this phase of my life. I would get just like analysis paralysis. Anybody else like ever heard of that term before? You can wave at me, okay? Or I would get so paralyzed by choices. I would get paralyzed by next steps because it felt like there were so many. And so the more options that you consume, the harder it actually becomes to choose any of them. And psychological studies show that indecision increases stress and lowers performance. And so, yeah, like I would think about all the times I would procrastinate on a decision. And then by the time I'd make a decision, I was so exhausted and like worn out. Like, wave at me if that's ever been you. And then I wouldn't really do a very good job, or I wouldn't be motivated to like actually do the thing. And the problem is that objects and people too at rest stay at rest. This is the principle of inertia, okay? Until you move, you don't get momentum. Objects in motion stay in motion. So you are not meant to live life as just a fan of other people's breakthroughs. You are meant to actually create that momentum and that motion in your own life. Now, the other type of person that I meet is what I would term the influencer. I'll shoot straight with you. This is the person that's like all vibes, but no backbone. It's like this TikTok reel. It gets a lot of attention, but it loops the same 15 seconds, and then its lifespan is less than 24 hours. And this kind of person kind of gets stuck in like a dopamine loop because social media trains our brains to value novelty over depth. And this same thing goes for goals. Um, being seen doesn't always mean you're stable. This was me for sure. I was a social media manager for a brand for a while, but I was kind of the face of their brand. That was one of the things they wanted me to do. And so I was creating a lot of content on their page. And this was actually before the rise of influencers. This was like, I mean, gosh, when was it? It was when my second was born. So it was like 6 years ago. So it was kind of right before a lot of like influencers got crazy big. And I like hated it. I really hated it because it was like this dopamine loop, but I would find myself feeling like it was all style and no substance. And it's exactly what it was. Like, I knew I wasn't there to entertain. I was there to actually shift people into transformation. I was actually there to make moves and make impact. And so for me, like, that was not a good fit at all. And I didn't really find it to be very lucrative. Now, the other type of person that I meet, and again, that I was, I'll walk you through my personal journey here. I'm gonna just give you all the tea on my life, okay? was the biz owner, okay? This is someone who is like the CEO in their tagline, but they very much act like an employee. This would be akin to someone who maybe rents an Airbnb and they redecorate it. They put time and energy into a space that they don't actually own. So this was me. This was actually me continuing to fall for the time for money trade and like really trapping myself in it. When I worked for a network marketing company, I felt like I was an entrepreneur, but what I was doing was still trading hours and just like possibility for permission. And nothing that I had was really my own. And I realized, through that experience, that to be self-employed, to have agency over your time and your income, you actually don't need to own a business, but you do have to be a businesswoman. Okay. So you need to own the outcomes and you need to be able to predict and replicate results. And that's not always possible when you're working in a structure like affiliate marketing or network marketing. Because really, what you're doing is you're just pushing a product that somebody has. You don't own the customers, you don't own the product, you don't own the rights to anything. And for me, what that ended up happening was my network marketing company got acquired by somebody else. It completely changed our compensation structure. It changed my team. That meant I lost a lot of income. And maybe you've seen that happen, especially more recently. Maybe it's happened to you as well. Now, the other type of person that I see is what I would term the hobbyist. This is like Pinterest board energy. Someone who like maybe gets all the things, like the workout clothes, but they don't actually ever go to the gym. We often like only value what we invest deeply in. It's like I said, like 50% effort equals a 50% belief. This is the confirmation bias that your brain needs. So it's kind of like I'm gonna do the thing halfway, but I also don't really think it will work. So then your brain will actually subconsciously collect evidence that it won't. What ends up happening is you have like a shelf full of running shoes and paintbrushes and crochet needles and a ring light and all these things. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this sometime, and you don't ever really do it. Or maybe even you do take something that was a hobby and you try to create a business out of it, but it starts to like eat away at the love that you had for that thing. That happened to me when I was running a bakery out of my home. It was something that I loved, and it ended up just taking like so much time and energy. And I was like, I don't want to own a business. I don't want to start a business. I just like want to do this thing that I like. I want to connect with people. I want to share something I'm good at. And like wave at me if that's you. Like maybe you've tried to start something before and you're like, oh, like now I don't really like it anymore. Or like, oh, this is such a pill. Like I don't want to build a social media page just to do the thing I like. And so because of that, that does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of energy. You get stuck in this hobbyist mentality and it becomes like, oh, maybe I'll try. But it's like almost like I don't want to. Now, the last kind of person, this is number five. Now, this is eventually, I would say, the kind of person that I become and the kind of woman that I aim to create and also connect with, like through our training. Now, because this is my company, I can call it whatever I want, but this is what I'm going to term an amplifier. Okay, that's the name of our training, but I love this word. I picked it intentionally because I feel like someone who amplifies their voice, amplifies their talents, their gifts, their personality, they step into their highest calling and their truest version of themselves. And I truly think that there's like this amplifier effect, right? Someone who amplifies and magnifies one area of their life, this trickles out into every area of their life. What I found for myself is when I went all in on learning how to sell, I actually got to be a better mom. I actually started to take better care of my health. I started to become a better partner to my husband. I started to become more aware of finances and better with money because I was working with it every day. And it was like all these little decisions started trickling out into my life. And it's like when you see yourself as the woman who shows up, you keep showing up. Like if I can show up for this one thing, I can show up for something else. If you've ever like given birth before, you're like a bio mom, you sometimes think, and I do too, sometimes I'll be like, okay, like I had a baby, like I got through labor. Certainly I can do this. Like, certainly I can get through this terrible car ride where one of my kids is puking. Like, I gave birth. Like, I can do that. I see a couple of you laughing and smiling. Like, yeah, like you're like, oh yeah, I did that, right? But that's what an amplifier does, is it's like, oh, I did the hard thing once. Like, I showed up. That means I can keep showing up here. And that's what allows you to actually amplify your life because action breeds confidence not just in business, but in parenting, in health, in relationships. You start to use your voice with intention and purpose to build income and to actually build real influence, not as an influencer, but to actually influence people to transform their lives. Amplifiers are the kind of people who don't wait to be ready. They claim transformation and then the readiness follows. Now, I'm going to guess that you're here because you have maybe lived in one of these first four identities that I shared. And maybe you're ready for a change. Maybe you've never called it an amplifier before, but maybe that's the kind of woman that you envision yourself to be, but you don't know how to get there. And like you're here, I know, because you want to change. You know that if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I also know you're here because like you want more time, you want more flexibility, you want more money. You're maybe trying to move from this hobbyist to like a side hustler to a follower to an influencer to a business owner, like to actually something that's sustainable and allows you to step into the person that you know you were made to be. And change can feel really scary. Change can feel big and uncertain. But the thing that makes change livable and doable is having a plan. Jumping out of a plane with a parachute, knowing how to pull that parachute, knowing you've practiced having somebody with you, knowing exactly what to do when you like jump out that door, what to do if the parachute fails. Like jumping out of the plane is still scary, but it's a lot less scary than if you just strapped on that backpack for the first time 2 seconds before you got in the plane and jumped out the door, right? And this reminds me of one of our students. Her name is Caitlin. She graduated a little over a month ago. And Caitlin is such a good example of just the kind of person who went all in. Now, Caitlin was a teacher. She was super burned out on teaching. She really felt underpaid, underappreciated. If you're a teacher, wave at me. She was doing the whole like, yeah, I work more than anybody else, and my department just asks me to do more stuff, and then I'm not actually paid more for it. And I'm trading like more and more time for not a lot of money. And I'm away from my baby, and I don't really like it. And it's a toxic environment. I think a lot of schools are amazing, but there's also, workplaces and stuff that aren't. Hers wasn't. She joined our challenge, one of these events in February. And at that point, she had looked at a lot of different remote work options, like being a VA, doing affiliate marketing, bookkeeping. Like she had looked at ways to sell digital products, like all these different things. Um, and at the end of our challenge, she just decided, like, okay, I'm going to take action on one thing. Like, I'm getting rid of the analysis paralysis. This feels right for me. And she really went all in on Amplify. I mean, she was working as a teacher 40, I mean, more than 40 hours a week for sure. She's a mom. She's busy. She's doing all the things, but she showed up. She showed up and did the training. She followed exactly what we asked. She moved through all the modules. Okay. And just a couple weeks ago, she actually was offered two amazing part-time roles just like 1 week after graduating. One is a training company for nonprofits where she makes 10% of either a 10K to 20K sale. And then the other one is for a financial advisor where she makes 5% of $5,000 every time a deal closes. And so she's already quit her teaching job, knowing that she has this new skill and she has this new opportunity that is more than going to replace her teaching salary. And she's going to use the summer to ramp up her income because she had a plan. She had steps to follow. She knew exactly where she was going. Now, a plan is not just an idea. This is actually a structured foundation. It's a blueprint that turns chaos into clarity. Now, we plan for a lot of things in our life, whether it's vacation, a wedding, babies, moves, whatever it is. But the first thing we always do when we're making a plan is we really figure out where it is we're going. So, like if you're planning a wedding, you figure out what the date is and where the venue is. Like, you got to know what that is first. If you're going on vacation, you decide first, are we going to Disney World? Are we going on a cruise? Are we going to Europe? Or are we going to go hiking in Colorado? Like, you decide where you're going because that destination informs everything else that you do, right? How you get there, the transportation, if you hire a travel agent, the timeline, what you pack, your itinerary, what kind of food you eat, where you stay. So for us, it's really important that when you're deciding to make this big change in your life, to move into some kind of like self-employment, more like freedom, work, lifestyle, remote work, whatever you want to call it. It has so many different names and terms now that you have a destination in mind. And so for us this week, the work from home wealth plan, our destination is the high ticket sales space. So we're going to go on a little virtual tour here. If you will, we're building a blueprint, okay? So when you are building a house, right, it's really important to have a blueprint. If you can imagine purchasing like a piece of land and thinking, I'm going to build a home here, but I don't have a blueprint, I don't have a plan, right? You go to that piece of land and you start maybe putting up walls, you start laying a foundation. Maybe you decide, like, oh, I found these really cute doors. I love the color. I'm going to paint the doors and then I'm going to put them up just so they look cute and they're there. Oh my gosh, I found this amazing couch. It was on sale. I'm going to stick it in the house. The house isn't ready, but you put the couch in. Okay. Maybe you even start like just making up a floor plan as you go. Well, what happens? Like, that is not a livable house, number one. Number two, you actually end up wasting a lot of time and energy and resources and a lot of money because you started building this home without any plan in place. You'd have to go and tear it down. That beautiful couch that you bought on sale and you're so excited about, like it sits in the house without a roof and it gets rained on and destroyed, and you never get to use it. And so many of us approach like new opportunities, working from home, or even just something that feels like very different than a traditional career path in that same way of like, let me just try this. Let me just do this thing and see. And there's no real plan. And what that does is it wastes your time and wastes your money. No shame here, but wave at me if you've ever just bought like a random $37 course because you thought it was going to fix your life tomorrow. Maybe you thought, okay, a couple of you waving, you way to be brave, okay? I mean, we've all done it, right? You see this thing and then it like sits in your email and you're like, oh, like this sucks. Like this didn't actually fix anything. That's like a house without a blueprint. You're putting a bathroom up on a lot. It's like there's no roof, like there's no bedroom. We don't even know where the door goes, right? And that wastes your money, it wastes your time. And it's okay. Like if you've done that, like it's okay. We all do stuff like that, especially when you're really in that place of like, I need a change, right? But what I would encourage you with today and tomorrow is that this is your blueprint, okay? We're gonna come up with your next steps so that you can stop wasting your time and stop wasting your money, and you actually know the kind of house you're gonna build, and that house will be a strong and sturdy structure that will last a lifetime. Cool? So we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna start by really looking at the type of house we want to build. All right. This is our destination. This is where we're going. We're going to break down the high ticket sales space because maybe this is something kind of ambiguous. You're not really sure what that is. You're like, I don't really understand that. Like, I hear this buzzword. Is it affiliate marketing? Is it like this water filter thing? Is it like some kind of influencer situation? Like, I don't really know what that word means. So, we're going to break it down here so I can just be super specific and super clear and you know exactly where you're going, right? So, high ticket means any large amount of money, specifically in the high ticket sales industry. That means something that's $3,000 up to $100,000. I even know companies that sell products that are worth $1 million, right? Now, a ticket is just like a price of admission. Now, these types of people who are selling these offers, high ticket price, okay, this is how you get into their offer to work with them. These are typically coaches, consultants, service providers. Okay. What that means to you is that these are people like photographers, ad agencies, marketing services, business coaches, financial advisors, life coaches, leadership specialists, parenting coaches, nutritionists, fitness coaches. Okay. Wave at me if you've ever heard the name Tony Robbins before. Okay. Wave at me if you've ever heard the name Jenna Kutcher. Amy Porterfield. Okay. A couple of you waving. Okay. Those are all examples of high ticket coaches and consultants. They sell courses. Many of them do. They also sell what's called a mastermind. That's where they have communication with a small group of people who've paid a high ticket price to get their business expertise, to get their marketing systems, to get their leadership and training. All right. And those products typically range from $3,000 up to $100,000, if not more. Okay. So that's what that means. It's someone who's providing a service, something educational. Okay. Typically, this is some kind of transformation, whether it's a personal transformation or it's like a transformation for your business. All right. So when you sell an offer to someone, you're just inviting them into a transformative change. And to sell really well, you have to create safety so that you can experience change. Right now, what we're seeing is this huge rise in untraditional education and training, all right? So traditional college is becoming like less popular than it used to be. If you're a millennial like I was just having this conversation with a friend the other night, and we were talking about when we were in high school, it was like college was the option. Like if you could afford to go to college, like that was the option. There was no, yeah, do something else. Like, oh, start a business, do this. Like, no, it was like you go to college. I remember at one point saying something like, I don't know if I want to go to college. And my parents, who are incredibly supportive parents, truthfully, were like, no, you go to college. Like, that's what you do. There was like no veering from that path, okay? But what we're seeing now is this huge rise in new generations and even many of us in our older years of finding continuing education in a different way. Whether that be like a trade or just like a certification of some sort, or through one of these like online service and education companies. All right. So let me break down an example for you. Okay. And then we're going to get into like what this looks like very specifically. All right. So I'm going to give an example of one of my brothers. He's actually a lawyer. Okay. He's my younger brother. And he works for a law firm. He's not partner yet, but he's on track to maybe become partner one day. So big deal, great for him. Now, I had to look up like probably how much he spent on college because I wasn't really sure. But I was like researching like what does an average lawyer, pay for their undergrad? What do they pay for their like law degree? Okay, I was getting real friendly with ChatGPT. She's my best friend. So I'm like looking it up, looking on Google, and I found, on average, people who go on to law school typically go to some kind of private school for their undergrad. So they usually spend at least 80K on undergrad. Okay, $80,000. Then I found through Google that the average like law degree costs $150,000. And that's just state schools. That's not like going to Harvard. Okay, that's like going to a state school. 150,000 just for the law degree, not the bachelor's, all right? So, let's say my brother, he went to undergrad, he goes on to law school. At this point, he's spent almost $250,000, like 230,000-ish, on school. Ballpark, all right? He goes through school. These are probably student loans, as most of us did, okay? He gets a job at a law firm. And then 6 months into working for this firm, they have a little review with him and they're like, we love what you're doing with the clients. Amazing. Hey, what we would really like you to do is actually start to bring in new clients to the law firm. We'd like you to start bringing in some new business. Now, my brother went to law school. Bless his heart, he did not go to business school. He doesn't have a lick of sales experience. He could not tell you a marketing funnel from a kitchen mixer. Okay. So he goes through law school. He spends $250,000 to do that. Now, this new company that he works for, and this is really common, they say to him, it's time to start marketing and selling. because that's how we make business. So we want you to do that. Now, my brother, he has a couple of options here. He's never done this before. He could just decide to like try to figure it out, like maybe get on YouTube and like look up what other lawyers are doing. He could like observe on Instagram. He could like ask his like colleagues what they're doing. He could, my dad was in sales. He could like ask my dad like to give me some advice, right? He could kind of fumble his way through and maybe get a result. It maybe wouldn't be the result that the law firm wants, but he could maybe get some result that way, okay? Or he could go back to school for his MBA and actually learn more about marketing and selling and business structure. Now, I had to look this up too. I have my bachelor's. I don't have my MBA. I didn't know what it cost. It costs another 150,000 on average for a state school to get your MBA. Now, again, he's already spent $250,000, so now he's going to spend another 150,000. Like probably not. Probably not. He's got student loans to pay off, all right? So he's kind of stuck. He needs to produce this result for a business that he has no training in, even though he's in his field of study, right? Or he could hire a coach or a consultant, okay? Other lawyers who have maybe mastered these skills to teach him the exact skill that he needs to generate leads, to bring in new clients, to bring in more money to the business. Now, let's say something like that costs $15,000 for 3 months of training versus $150,000 to go get his MBA. So my brother could work with a company like this company, your Practice Master. This is actually a company that we have placed Amplify graduates in, okay? They are a law firm growth program. These are former lawyers who have good marketing skills, who know how to sell. They know how to grow a business, okay? There's so much more to owning a law firm than just being good at law. You have to know how to run a business, okay? So they work with firms to grow, to hire the right people, to get better at closing deals, because that's what it is when you have a lawyer. Okay, you're really closing a deal. They're selling you their services. They teach them how to find new clients, how to actually market and grow their business. So let's say my brother finds this company. He ends up signing up, purchasing this, and because of this, he spends $15,000 instead of $150,000. And because of that, he's actually able to start generating $10,000 in new revenue every month for forever. Like, let's just say conservatively, he has a 20-year like law career. Okay. That's an extra $120,000 a year times 20, which is like 2 million, $2.5 million. Okay. Like from investing in this one program. All right. Instead of going back to school. And these are people who are doing exactly what he needs to do, right? So this is a way that they specialize. Which of these ways would be fastest, right? It's like a no-brainer. Which way is the most specific? Which way would get him the quickest return on investment? So he could spend 10 years in a profession just like fumbling his way through, or he could collapse time with a mentor and actually make more money way faster. All right. So maybe your wheels are turning and you're like, that makes sense. Like I've seen things like this before, maybe you've even just seen like leadership training for businesses. It's the same thing. They're selling to a larger business instead of an individual. So these are the exact type of companies that one, we would work for, working as a sales development rep, or that in Amplify, I would place you in. Okay. These companies are looking for people to help sell their offer. So I'll get into that in just a second of what that very practically looks like. But this is one example, your Practice Mastered. Another quick example, just to make it a little tangible for you. Okay. This is another company that we have placed with. Her name is Kara. She runs the Life Well Lived company and she's a nutritionist. So she teaches plant-based nutrition to help people, specifically women, really relieve inflammation and digestive issues through eating more plants. Okay, she runs retreats in Costa Rica. She has groups where she gives you like one-to-one coaching and to help you really figure out what you need to eat to feel better, right? So we've placed someone to help run her DM inbox, which we'll talk about again in a minute. And on the other end of the spectrum, right, like totally different from being a lawyer, like a consultant for lawyers, being a nutritionist, we have this other company that we've placed with as well. This is called Simplified Social. All right. These are two women who do Instagram growth and social media management, excuse me, for growing women businesses. So they teach women how to grow a business on social media. They help them do their marketing, right? And they've hired two people from us, two people, I think. So, they do something totally different. They serve a different audience, but they still sell a high ticket product. So, what does this mean for the women from Amplify who have placed in these programs? It means they get to work in a very successful business without actually having to be the brains behind the operation. Okay. They're not splitting their time between marketing something, building a following, talking to people in the DMs. They're focusing on one skill. So let's look at what this looks like very tangibly. All right. This is how the online coaching and consulting space, info space, education space, we'll call it all of those, works and exactly what it looks like. All right. Now, you may have seen this video because I have shared this before, but we're going to break it down here. So someone, a professional of some sort, okay, they have an idea on how to sell some of their knowledge or their experience to people who may need it. All right. So using the lawyer example, these former lawyers know we're very good at marketing and sales. We could sell that knowledge to other lawyers to help them be better at marketing and sales and grow their firms. Okay. So what they do is they create some kind of product. Okay. They do videos, they do guides, they have some kind of product, and they start sharing about this product on social media. So they start putting it on Instagram, they start putting it on TikTok, maybe they start Facebook groups, all right? When they put it on social media and they start talking about this thing that they do, how it helps this group of people, it solves a problem, that attracts people to their page and they start to build a following, all right? Now, as they start to build this following, they want to bring more people in. They're like, cool, this is working. They start making some money. They want to make more money. So they figure out, how do I grow this group of people that could benefit from what I offer? All right. So then what they do is they start creating more content. Okay. This is what makes them a content creator. Wave at me if you've ever heard that before. Okay. Content creator. Content can be anything like an ad, or like organic content is the other term for like reels and posts, carousels, stories, like things you just see on someone's profile. Okay. So they can decide to put, like, this is like my little music notes. Okay. You guys, people hire me to teach them how to sell. They don't hire me to teach them how to draw. Okay. So you may see these posts and things, but you may also see ads, which they're paying for. Okay, that's sponsored content, right? Now, this content, this goes to what we call an opt-in, all right? Typically, there's some kind of freebie that they're giving away, all right? A video, a training, okay, a guide. And to get that, you have to enter your email address. Raise your hand if you've ever done this before, and I should see every hand raised because that's why you're here. That's how you got here tonight. Amazing, right? Okay, I always feel like I'm showing my underwear when I talk about this because I'm like, here's my secret. It's not really a secret though. This is just how online business works. It's how all business works in person too. Anyone ever get like the Nordstrom sale and then you click the email and then suddenly you're getting 4,000 emails a month from Nordstrom for the rest of your life Okay, like that's what happens here, right? You're like, give me the sale deets, and then now I'm gonna get them for the rest of my life, okay? So you start getting emails, and so then what happens is they start to send you emails. So they have your email, they have permission to do that. Okay. You start to learn a little bit more about that offer. Okay. So what this does is this brings in even more people to their audience. Okay. So we've got like 4 people here, and this starts to 10x that, or 100x that, or 1000x it. And let's say they get to, more money, but then they get more followers. Okay. So now this business has a lot of people. Let's say they have 5,000 people on Instagram. 5,000 people, if you put 5,000 people in a stadium, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people for one person to talk to. They need to figure out how to talk to these people. So what they do is they hire someone called an SDR, a sales development rep. You may also hear the term a DM setter, a phone setter, an appointment setter. They're all the same thing. What this person does is maybe they make a quick phone call. Mostly they're going to be sending messages on Instagram or some other platform. Sometimes they take calls, okay? And what they're focused on is educating and connecting, okay? They actually speak as the business owner and they ask questions. They get to know the people in the inbox to see if they could help them. Would this product possibly work for you? They also share about what's going on. All right. So they're just having a conversation. That's it. Okay. When it seems like this person could be helped by what they sell, they would book them to a call with what's called a closer. Okay. This person takes a Zoom chat with the potential client over here. Okay. Then, when that person decides to enroll, the company makes money. So that person on this call says, yes, I have this problem. Yes, I will use your product to help me solve the problem. Then when that happens, the SDR and the closer make a commission of that sale. Okay. So a lot of people think that when you work online, you actually need to do all of these things. And truthfully, people who work in like affiliate marketing or network marketing, they do all of these things. Like when I worked in network marketing, I was coming up with ideas. I was like creating content. I was reaching out to followers and like people in my inbox and like Facebook messaging people. That was like when Facebook was like a bigger deal. I was connecting with them. I was sending emails. I was messaging them. I was creating more content. And then I was trying to get them to buy my product. I was literally doing all these things. But what we actually see is that this whole thing right here is marketing, hence the term network marketing, hence the term affiliate marketing. It's not sales focused, it's marketing focused, okay? So marketing is all of this. This is all everything up here. Okay, this is all marketing. Marketing is what gets people to the door of the business. This down here, the thing that like really makes money and draws revenue into the business is the sales portion, okay? That's the SDR and the closer. So what does this mean to a business? To a business that's growing, it means that being the marketer, which often is the person who has the idea because they're the one like creating the content, is incredibly lucrative. But there are 2 really simple jobs that can be taken off their plate that will continue to grow their business when they're not focused on them. They can hire someone to do this pretty quickly. Okay. So what we see is for as far as like plugging in goes, right, to a business, okay? Businesses need people to sell their product. They have all these followers, they have these email lists, and they need people to sell them. They need people to have conversations. When you work as an SDR, you're focused on connecting and educating and continuing to move people through the process without actually having to be the one to close the sale. You're you're just talking. You're just communicating with them. Now, I don't know about you, but my screen time on my phone is outrageous. Now, I work online, so I do kind of feel like I get a hall pass, but it's still way higher than I want. Like 5, 6 hours a day. Okay, that feels so embarrassing to say. But even if you're someone that has something more conservative, like 4 hours a day, which I think probably most of us have 3 to 4 hours, and you took that time to send DM messages on behalf of a business instead of scrolling Instagram, you could start selling $3,000 products, $10,000 products to people that don't even know it's you. They just think it's the business owner and make a commission off of that. That's what an SDR does. They plug in as a communicator and they become highly paid because of inflation. Businesses have to grow at 10% minimum every year just to stay above water. That's not even to make new revenue or to grow, that's to maintain their baseline. So, the quickest way for a business to grow is to hire an expert communicator to have these conversations while they focus on all of this, which is a lot of times what business owners love because they love talking about their product. They love talking about their thing. And they want to help a lot of people. And so they feel bogged down talking to one person at a time. But if they can hire someone who's empathetic, who values connection, who loves like sharing about something that could bring transformation, that vastly influences the growth of their business. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to go maybe like 5 minutes over. So if you need to pop out, I understand, but we're almost done here. I just want to share a couple more interesting statistics about this industry. I threw out the word like content creator over here. Now, does anybody know what the content creator industry is going to be valued at in 2027, like over the next couple years, or maybe even what you think it might be valued at now? Like, what value do you think that industry holds? You can just type it in the chat. I'm just super curious to see what numbers come to your mind. The content creator industry. So, people who are creating products and selling them online, they're creating content. Okay, what do you think that that industry is valued at? A billion? Anybody else? You can just throw things out. I always want to be like, there's no wrong answer, but there is a wrong answer because there's only one right answer. But just throw some things out and then I'll tell you, I promise. Okay, I have see a couple likes on the a billion. Okay, so in the next 2 years, in 2027, so just 2 years away, the content creator industry, this all up here, this is going to be valued at $480 billion. $480 billion. An appointment setter or an SDR makes at least 5% of whatever that person is selling. Who here would like to have 1% of $1 million in your pocket? Like 1% of 1 million, okay? That could be one single business and you're making 5% of that, okay? So if you're the kind of person that's like, I would actually like to amplify my time every day. I would actually like to work from anywhere. I would actually like to take my 4 to 6 hours of screen time that I have every day and turn that into a way to make an income, but do it on a way that's like flexible, where I have that self-employed feeling without this whole mess here. Like for me personally, I have no interest in doing all this. I was on vacation last week and I shared something on Instagram. And I mean, I was like joking about it, but then I was also very serious about it. Like, if I was focused on being a content creator, my whole vacation would be about creating like aesthetic, beautiful content. I'd be on my stories, I'd be sharing all this, like posting and like looking at all this. But it's like, all I have to do is just like get in a DM inbox. All I have to do is get on a call and like have a conversation with a person. That is so easy to do on a vacation. I would rather like eat glass than spend my whole vacation focused on all of this when I could just take a couple hours a day. Yeah, a couple people are like, yeah, me too. Like a couple hours a day and like just talk to people, which I like doing. And I'm an introvert, so if I get to do it in the DMs or like on the phone and they don't really know who I am, like plus 10 points, okay? Amazing. And then that actually pays for my vacation and I get to spend time with my family, okay? And so what I found was when I was staying home with my kids, I like wanted something bigger than myself. Like I wanted something bigger than my family, and I love my family. But I'm the kind of person who likes going to work. I always have. I always will. That's just who I am, okay? But what plugging in as an SDR into a business allowed me to do was to have this like bigger vision to participate in an entrepreneurial activity without being the one running the business. I just did this one job and I got paid well for it. And the better I got at it, the more of an asset I became to the business. And when you have an asset, that means it creates money forever. Now, most assets will depreciate. You think of like a home as an asset, but over time it will break down. If your asset is your skill, your asset is your brain, it's not breaking down. It's not going anywhere. The more money you put into it, the more training you put into it, the more reps you do, the better you get, the more of an asset you become. What this means is you build high leverage. Businesses start clamoring to hire you. Will this happen in your first opportunity? No. But when you put in the time and the energy and the money into training, and you become the best, someone else will handle the rest. You get to do that one job, you get to do it well, and you get to be paid well because you're bringing value to a business. You're keeping them above that inflation line. You're the one pulling the money in. And when you work as an SDR, like, you don't even have to make the close at the end. You just get to talk to people, which I think a lot of us, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, you may feel like, I would love to talk to other adults. That would be nice. And maybe if you're a teacher, you're like, I would love to sit on my couch and like have some conversations on Instagram instead of going to the classroom every day. I would love to travel to Europe and still do my job and know that it's paying for me to be there. And I don't have to get PTO. I don't have to ask permission. I just get to do what I want because I work online. So this is what happens when you become the best. Someone else will handle the rest. Okay. Now, tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to actually take this into an actionable plan of what you're going to do next. All right. And like what your blueprint looks like tomorrow. But first, I want to share with you a really simple way to actually locate these businesses on Instagram and to figure out like, who are these people? What are they selling? How could I plug into them? And that's going to be your homework tonight. So it's super simple. Okay. This is what I call window shopping. So if you have your phone and you're not using it for Zoom, okay, or you have your computer, you can open up Instagram in a tab. You're gonna go to Instagram. There's like a little search bar at the top. Okay. You're gonna go to the search bar. You're gonna type in parenting coach, real estate coach. Okay. Um, let's see, like teacher business growth. Okay. Nutritionist for women with PCOS. Fitness for postpartum moms coach. Okay. Advertising consultant for women-owned business. Like literally just think of like random things. What am I interested in? What kind of problems might people have? And then attach the word coach or consultant to it. Use the industry you're in now. Use something you personally are interested in. I forget who it was, and I apologize for this, but I was talking to someone today who said they're actually certified as a nutritionist. I was like, that's amazing because I know a lot of nutritionists who would love to have someone who's a nutritionist actually do their selling, and a lot of nutritionists want to run their own business. And she's like, I don't really want to run a business. And I was like, fair, same. Also same. Okay. So you're going to go on Instagram and you're literally just going to search. That's all you're doing. Then, maybe I would encourage you, if you have the time, do an opt-in, find their free thing and put your email in. Just see what happens. Okay. See what they're offering, explore, go to their website, right? We're not getting married to anybody here, right? We're just seeing what's out there. Okay. Then what I want you to do is go into the Hive, our school group. Okay. And just on the main page, do a little post about what you found. Share some of the offers, share some of the companies you found. I love this homework because I have never seen a repeat company posted because it's a $480 billion industry. There's like millions of coaches and consultants out there. You can do worldwide. They're all over the world. They're not just confined to the US, okay? So just find them, maybe share a little bit, like what do they do? Who do they help? Like tell me about it, okay? And just think of like, oh, this is interesting. And what you're going to notice, one, you're going to start getting a lot of ads. Okay. Sorry. Sorry about that. You're going to start seeing a lot of ads. Your algorithm's going to change. But what's going to happen is you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I've been following this person for like a year and I had no idea that they were a high ticket coach. I had no idea that they were a consultant that people pay thousands of dollars to. And they probably have a team. And your world is going to start to open. And that's really the point of this exercise. It's just to see what's out there. It's window shopping. Cool. So that's what I'd love for you to do tonight. Tomorrow, we're actually building the blueprint and plugging it all in. We're bringing it together. Do your homework. Okay. Tomorrow, we'll have the application. Tomorrow, once you attend live, once I see you've been there, okay, so that you can get on your one-to-one call with me this week, which I'm hoping many of you will be jumping onto, okay, because I would love to just chat with you face to face, get out of the DMs a little bit, take it out of the group chat, okay? So that will be on the plan for tomorrow. Let us know if you need anything. I also would love to hear, just send me a message on Instagram, like if you have questions after tonight. If you had a takeaway, you're like, oh my gosh, that was enlightening. That was interesting. I had no idea. Or maybe like, I hated that. That's not for me. That's fine. You can tell me on Instagram. But I would love to chat with you a little bit more there. I hope you have a wonderful night. I'm going to be looking for the people that post that homework right away, get it done. Action takers or money makers. And I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great night. Bye.